Let's go live. I'm just giving it that few seconds before we see if we've got anyone joining us. We're having a dance. Hello,
Big box,
hello,
little box.
hello. It says that there's no one there. So if it's lying, then say hello in the comments. But welcome to the Toll Lives show for the month of January, because that's when we read it. And yeah, obviously you all know I'm Mel, and we have the wonderful Lana joining me. And yeah, this is the Last to Read Book Club live show for the Toll. So we have Lola. Hi, Lola.
Hey, Lola.
How are you doing? Hi, Ellie. You're doing some dancing. We're trying to psych ourselves up to be like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. But yeah, so we've got two people here. One of who I know didn't read the book. Lola, you read the book, did you not? What?
She read it straight away, like straight
Oh yeah,
after
that's
Sunday.
right. That's right. She was like, I'm not waiting for you, suckers. I'm going. Yeah, so I guess I have not got a plan for today. Sorry, everyone. I'm chaotic as usual. That's why you love me. But yeah, she finished it last month. So I guess we'll just talk about the book and how we went, what we thought of it. Did we enjoy it? Did we not enjoy it? Etc. 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 Hi. Yay! I'm so excited to have you back. Okay, so Lola liked the second book best out of the series.
Me too.
Okay, that's interesting.
It was my favorite, but this was still a 4-star for me. Still a 4-star read. It just wasn't a 5.
That's fair enough.
I think the pacing was a bit slower in this one. I think that's potentially why. But I did absolutely love Jericho. Jericho was like my favorite. And Grayson, because he's just a little cinnamon bun.
Yeah, he's a little cutie. Hi, Paige. Hello.
Hi.
Lola gave the book 3.5 stars. Didn't like the ending. Thought it was a strange finish. That's fair enough. My favorite's still Scythe of the three. I think that's because it really just surprised me with how much I liked it, and I knew kind of roughly what it was, the premise was, because obviously, we watch BookTube and people talk about it. And I knew roughly what the premise was, but I just wasn't expecting, and again, this is kind of a snobby thing to say, but especially given it's young adult, I wasn't expecting to feel as deep as it did. And as kind of profound in the way that it was talking about, like, what makes us human and what gives us purpose, and what, it's particular with the conversations around. I remember really feeling really like the one where they went into the art gallery and they went to the mortal age section, because they were like, this is good because these people had something to live for, kind of thing, and I found that really poignant. So I think that's why I liked Scythe as much, just because it was this really I thought really profound, but still done in such a way that it was a really interesting, fun story. Like, you didn't feel like, oh god, it's just a philosophy textbook kind of thing. I really enjoyed the other two, but hi Ash.
Hey Ash.
But yeah, I think that's what I liked about Scythe the best. Yes, absolutely, definitely. Discussion of mortality in Scythe was beautiful, definitely. But yeah, so whereas Thunderhead and the Toll were more focused on plot. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, I agree with that. So is there anyone that preferred the Toll to the other two? Would be another good question. From the consensus at large from the community, I feel like the answer is most people either didn't like the toll or didn't like it as much. But I'm just wondering, is there anyone that actually feels differently and thought the toll was amazing and the best bit? Because that'd be interesting to know. But yeah, like I said, sorry, I'm a bit random today. I'm in a funny mood.
And you've been pretty busy sorting out
I've been busy
readathon.
sorting out a readathon, which is my own fault because that's the thing that I decided I was going to do. But yeah, sorry, I missed what your ratings. Oh, let me just get rid of the.
My rating was 4 stars.
I actually gave it 4.5. In the end. Scythe was definitely my favourite. The Toll was not too far behind. Okay, cool. That's interesting.
I love all the different thoughts and how people feel about the different books.
Yeah, same. So Ash, what did you like about the Toll as opposed to Thunderhead? Because for the most part, Lana and Lola preferred Thunderhead the most. I preferred Scythe the most. And also, Paige, I know that you didn't like it as much, but did you? Because I've heard some people really didn't like it. Did you come down on the side of it was still okay and fun, but it just wasn't as good?
I think she said it was meh.
Yeah. So what does that mean? So yeah, you didn't enjoy Thunderhead.
Yeah.
The Toll 4 stars. I still gave it 3 stars. I thought so. I thought that it was still kind of like it wasn't, a 1 star or anything like that. It was more just a disappointment. So, I'm just going to let this be spoilery because unless Ellie's still there, I think we're all have read it. What disappointed you about it, Paige? And also, what did you like the most about it, Ash? Because I'm very curious to see what that is. Yeah. So you gave it 4 stars, Lana. So what was your favorite kind of part of it? What did you like the most?
I loved every scene that Jericho was in. And I loved Jericho's character. That for me was like, just, yes, I wanted more of them. And I could see how it was all building, and it was nice to see how little things from the Scythe that were brought through Thunderhead, and then it all came to the very end. So I sort of understood why it went the way it did. In the end, it wasn't the ending that I was expecting, but I didn't hate it. I was just like, I could see this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of the other thing that I really liked is Ayn. She didn't have I was expecting her to have this massive redemption arc, and I was really happy that she didn't really. She was just solely in it for her because she's just a selfish person, but she knows that and she's fine with it. So I was actually kind of glad. It could have gone either way, and I'm more impressed that she didn't have a character a redemption arc. But yeah, other than that, there's no standout points in the book, and the pacing was just slower for me. And in these kind of books, or just in books in general, I like the fast pace. Especially if it's a plot-driven book. If it's a character-driven book, then obviously you expect it to be slower. But this is plot-driven, so yeah, the timing was, the pacing was just a bit not what I was expecting.
So we've had a few thoughts, so I might go through those and then I'll kind of let you know what I thought in general. So Ash, the Thunderhead board me for most of the book. I don't know if it was just because I wasn't in the right headspace or that didn't care as much about the other characters. That's fair enough. Yep. I love the relationship between Grayson and the Toll most. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought that was really interesting as well. I think the direction with the ending. Why? What was the point of the series if you get in a goddamn rocket? Yep.
Oh, she does.
Yep. Yeah, the ending kind of left me thinking, huh? I feel the ending could have been resolved in a way that wasn't like everyone abandoning ship.
Just start like.
I like the ending felt a bit half-assed, yeah.
Just start doing it.
When you guys off the being like, ooh, redemption arc, knowing for where there was not one, wasn't one. Hi, Amy. I think because I love the discussion in Scythe of Thunderhead that Toll just didn't try. Yeah, I still really enjoyed the Toll. I definitely like Neal Shusterman's writing, and I still thought there was some quite interesting conversations around, again, the same, what makes us human, what makes us, what is religion, what makes us, what is belief, what is faith, kind of thing, with the Tonus and with the Toll, and then with everything that Mendoza was doing with Grayson and the building him into like the Holy One, and all of that. I thought that was really interesting, and I really liked the way, again, that he was able to have this really interesting kind of deep conversation about stuff, but make it an interesting story nonetheless. But I definitely agree that there wasn't as much resolution because it wasn't just about Goddard and what he did. It was about the whole concept of what even is the purpose of scythes. Why do we have scythes? What, how are they different from just regular, like, serial killers, murderers, whatever? What makes it okay for them to have this power, etc., which I thought was kind of where he was heading with Goddard. But then, yeah, definitely with the ending where we just blew Goddard up and then escaped to another planet, I was a bit kind of like, well, that was a letdown. Like, I still had really enjoyed it, so I still gave it really quite a high rating. But I definitely see why people were so disappointed with it. And I definitely think that it would have been much more interesting. He might have potentially have written more books in the series and even had them go to a different planet, but still resolve what happened on Earth a bit more, or have them go to a different planet and then kind of come to the conclusion of like, well, hang on, like, we're still able to entirely live. We're still able to live forever. We're still going to shag and have babies. Like, we still are going to need to figure out how to resolve this. We can't just keep going to other planets until the end of time. Or can we? Like, yeah. So I think it could have been done in a very much more interesting way. But I still think, overall, I still thought, and I think also that's the other thing, the Toll for me, like, it wasn't a great conclusion necessarily to the whole overarching series of what he was talking about. But I think because I loved the other two books so much, I was kind of able to be like, okay, well, at least I got a resolution, kind of thing, even if it wasn't entirely what I would have. I think maybe he got a bit too big for his boots. Like, maybe he opened up too many cans of worms to talk about and then was a bit like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah. And I think, like, with the like how it, from the very start, it talks about the black things in the gem.
Yes.
And then for that to actually have a purpose at the end, I thought that was pretty cool and that was pretty well done. And then from there, like, every 20 years, there's like the plague or like some illness that'll, like, 5% of the population will die, like, every 20 years. So I was like, that sort of makes sense. And like, but I feel like you said, I feel like there wasn't as much closure as there could have been, or it was just like he was like, he had a list of like plot holes that he needed to close. And so he's just like kind of like, okay, diseases every 20 years, tick.
Yeah.
These
And
people
the rest of them
are here,
escaped
tick.
to got rid of Goddard, tick. Yeah.
Like this person's the only person on this ship, but filled with tonus, tick. Like I was just like, it was a bit, it wasn't the best ending, but I feel like with books of this kind of type, there is never ever a good ending. Like I find with a lot of dystopians, I'm like, nah, at the ending of like most of them. So I kind of understood why it went that way, and like the Toll had been trying to get into space from the very beginning, from like before the beginning. So it altered, like it did its thing. But the big shock for me was when it like creepily went inside Jericho. I was like,
oh my god,
what
that
hell?
was really weird.
And it's saying it was necessary. I was like, was it though?
And like, because especially given that it was totally against her, like it was without her consent or their consent completely. And it's just like, I kind of like, being an AI, I guess I can understand why it wouldn't necessarily see the value of consent, but surely if we've conquered death and all of these things and we're trying to like not kill with bias, and we're trying to, you know, we're trying to have it so that people are homogenous, then surely why have we done that? Like, if we've done that, if the Thunderhead has done that to, you know, get rid of prejudice and whatever, then surely consent is something that is considered very important, and the Thunderhead would at least know that and respect it, even if it didn't get it. Yeah. Like, I just kind of was like, I don't know why that was, I agree, that was really creepy to me.
To me, like consent is very black and white. There is no gray area for me when it comes to consent. So like as an AI, like you would know that's right and that's wrong. So I was just like, I don't get why. Like it pushed the plot forward, but why? It was necessary. Why? So it was that rubbed me the wrong way, but I loved it. Consequences.
Yes. Well, I like that too, that it didn't, and Grayson wasn't, like, even though it wasn't his body that was, you know, taken over, he was very much like, that is not okay. You should not have done that.
You're unsavory.
Yeah, you're unsavory to me. I thought that was really, really cool. That was really well done. I just really wondered, like, why didn't the Thunderhead ask? Because if the only person the Thunderhead was talking to was Grayson, why not just ask Grayson? Like, Grayson probably would have said yes. Because anyway, that was a bit weird.
I thought on that way too much too.
yeah. But I feel like that, because it was supposed to be the thing, like you said, it pushed the plot forward, and it was the kind of final resolution that made the Thunderhead say, oh, I'm going to become humanoid, and become whatever, the Cirrus or whatever it called itself. But like, is that really that's a really awful way to start. Like, I started my next existence by an act of
invasion.
Like, don't you read your own history? Like, it's kind of, anyway. Yes, so I can see lots of other comments about things. Yes, I feel like the rocket ending was like a way of leaving things open-ended. I mean, definitely you could argue that, and maybe he intends to go back and write more stuff. And I definitely really thought that, I agree, I'd actually kind of, I don't know if I'd forgotten, but I actually kind of hadn't really necessarily, I feel like the thing with the gems and the way that the Thunderheads, the sides failsafe, that would have been like that. I mean, he gives a little bit of information, but even that, I didn't feel like it was as enough
compared to the rest of the book and the philosophical explanations we got for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It just seemed very.
It just felt really perfunctory.
Want more.
Like, yeah, like why? Yeah. And that would have been really interesting to explore. And then talking about like, well, these guys went to another planet, so they can just keep living and reliving and turning corners and whatever. And if these guys if Earth is gone back to something somewhat the age of mortal, and there are people, it's not science that are killing people. What are these on the other planet? Maybe he is going to write more. I don't know, but it would be cool if he did. I bet Scythe Goddard got what he deserved and was kind of surprised who did it. I actually liked that who did it, and I also liked, like you said, that it wasn't a redemption arc. She didn't do that because it was in any way redemption. She did that for the same reason she'd done everything else, because it was a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
She was also, young.
Yeah. There's a comment further down by Amy. Yeah. Goddard is, honest to God, one of my most hated antagonists. I feel the same way, and I was so glad he didn't go down in a blaze of glory. He didn't deserve it, and I just love that he just like wasn't even a footnote. He just petered out and then was just supplanted.
Yeah.
I loved that. It was the perfect ending for him. I was like, yes, fucking Goddard.
the ignobility of just nothing. Like, he didn't even get a final showdown. He didn't
he just ceased to exist. I was like, that is brilliant. I liked that.
That was perfect for him. And the fact that it was in, like you said, it was so no one knew. Like, they were in an area where the Thunderhead couldn't even reach. So, like, it's not like it was going to be reported or anything. But the fact that it was Rand that did it. And like we said, not for any reason. Not for any noble reason, anyway. But, like, I kind of liked that he got turned on by her. Like, it felt like it was a good ending for both of them, because it was like he got to be killed. He got to end without any like you say, it wasn't even a footnote. And it was by someone that he didn't care about really, and he knew didn't really care about anyone. Was only it was just interesting. Yes, totally agree. One of my most hated antagonists as well. Amy's agreeing. I like the idea of the world and how we would deal with population control in a world where you don't really die. Yeah, I really thought that was a really interesting conversation overall. And I liked that was something that the Thunderhead had been continuously grappling with, and like you said, trying to get to space because it knew it was coming and couldn't even, like, not even can't tell the sides not to do whatever, or can't stop the sides from killing people. Couldn't even tell the sides that they needed to up their numbers or up their gleaning or whatever. Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen that one.
That is a good show until they changed it.
I hate that.
They changed the character. Was it the same character? I think it might have been a different character that they followed, or I can't say much without giving it away, but it was a different main character, and I was like, no, I like the other one.
No, bring the other person back. Sorry, I should probably say that for anyone that is not able to read. So Lola said the same thoughts of what makes us human is in the TV show Altered Carbon, which apparently is fantastic, and I should watch it at some point. That actually made me think. The one thing, even though I do kind of feel like he could have done more and he could have had more, even longer books or more books or whatever, the one thing that I really do like is that it didn't kind of peter out and become, like, just thinking about TV shows, that Supernatural is probably my best example, where it's like it starts out really interesting and really fun and really whatever, and then it's like, oh my god, do we need 12 like, why?
15? Was it 15 seasons?
Yeah, like, why? Like, it just gets to a point where it's like either they're rehashing everything or they're just getting stupid. So
I will always love that show, though, till the day I die. I love that show.
I really liked it for like the first 4 or 5 seasons, and then I just got to the point where I'm like, this is just getting silly. I can't. I mean, it was already silly, but I just no.
I want to like super speed all of the like each season of Supernatural, and then every time they look at each other and be like, "Are you okay?" Take a shot.
Yes. Yep. So you have a beer there for every time they're drinking beer, and then you take a shot of something else for every time they do the whole soulful, like Jensen Ackles painted pout. Yeah. And then you get really drunk in the first 10 minutes.
I'm down.
Totally fine. So many population woes in the first couple of books could have been resolved if they hadn't had second and third families when they wound back. Yeah. I actually thought that too. I was like, why did they just not put a cap on like how many kids they could have? Or like,
because as a parent, like once you're out of the nappy stage, you don't want to do that again. Like you don't. And I can like firmly like say, because I got out of the nappy stage and then went back to the nappy stage, I was like, why did I do that?
What is wrong with me? Why
would you do that and then like live a life and then go back and like do it all again, unless you really loved children and just wanted to have like hundreds of babies.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? Because Grayson was the example of
exactly.
They didn't do that. Like, is it just that they have no like care about contraception? Or I mean, I guess if you've got an AI that is going to bring your kid up for you, you can just run around not caring. I mean, there's unfortunately, you know, there is so many people who just have kids and don't really care about them, or don't know how to care about them, or don't know how to care for them. And so, but yeah, I thought that too. I was a bit like, why couldn't they just be like, you can turn the corner, but we're getting your tubes are getting tired before you turn your corner. Yeah.
Especially for the people that like keep turning corners in their like 50s. Like, cool, if you want to live to 50, that's cool. But like, you're just like a vampire. Like once you're turned, you can have no more babies.
That's it. There are some things you just shouldn't be doing anymore. I thought that was actually really interesting as well when they talked about the scythe who had I can't remember what his name was, but the scythe that had the goods on Goddard, that was the one that finally like spilled the beans, and how he had obviously turned the corner so many times, and he kind of
Gary.
That's the one. He
Gary.
kind of didn't look like human anymore. Like he looked like waxen, and I thought that was really interesting as well.
He was alive in the Mortal Age.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I was like, surely there'd have to be
there'd be someone
that were alive when it was like our time.
Yeah. Well, if you were gleaning like just anyone and not like, the ships were too convenient up until then I was thinking 4-star. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yep. Can't remember the name of the chick who was in love with Goddard, but she finally got the message about him. I was like, finally, Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
I mean, it says it all when you're going to name yourself after Ayn Rand, doesn't it? But yeah, I was like that too. I was like, oh, for goodness sake, just get it.
Every time she like was like at him, I was like, now.
Come on, now. Yeah. But it was like you said before, like she didn't care. Like it wasn't that she finally was, because I kept thinking she's going to finally realize that he's evil, and she's going to finally realize that, oh, actually, you know what? She is a sociopath. She does not care. Like, this is not about good or evil or anything to her. It's about power and proximity to power, and who's going to let me be a serial killer, basically. True, can a dystopian ever end well? Yeah, well, yeah.
Also, Amy, you've changed your picture, and I think it's super cute.
Yeah, it is. I really like it. Although it kind of confused me the first time I saw it. I can't remember if it was a sprint or if it was a comment on a video, because I am such a visual person, I don't even realize it. Like, I tend to look at people's pictures and then I'll be like, who's this person? Oh, it's Amy. Yeah, exactly. Who does that? Although I did like James Morrison. I thought that was good. I mean, not that they're on the same level. Like, you totally name yourself after James Morrison and not Ayn Rand. But yeah. I think Rand regretted killing Rowan's friend. Yes. Tiger. Yes, I agree. I think she did as well. But again, for the same reason, for a totally selfish reason, because she thought he was hot.
Yes.
Same character. Oh, that's an answer to Ash's question. Yeah. Yep. Season 1 and 2 changed actors. I did prefer season 1 actor.
Same.
I can't comment because again I haven't seen it, but fair enough. I like season 2 once I got used to him.
Yeah, it did take some getting used to though.
Yep.
But yes, watch it. It's good.
Supernatural. I love the teddy bear episode. Oh yes. When the little girl like wishes her teddy bear would be alive, and the teddy bear is just like a totally depressed alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
That was funny.
Poor teddy bear.
Poor teddy bear. Really, maybe I should give season 2 a second chance. Oh, you guys are making me want to go watch Altered Carbon now.
Do it.
I can do it. I will. Not right now, but I will. I watched an honest trailer for The Walking Dead season 1, and the amount of time Shane rubbed his head was insane.
Love it.
At least with the Thunderhead, the kids who are neglected can have some decent parental influence. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did like that. Definitely. Although I guess that kind of makes it much more allowable for people to be neglectful parents.
It's like enabling them. It enables them.
Yeah. Kind of one of those catch-22 situations. It's like, I'm glad that, that children aren't being completely neglected anymore, but at the same time, like...
Yeah.
Anyway, that could branch into a whole conversation about welfare at all, so let's not do that. With the kids, if no one...
If none were to die,
where do they think this population would
go?
Yeah. I thought it's strange that no one picked up that they would run out of space.
Well,
I think they thought the sides were enough. Because they did slowly, I think, increase the number of sides that they had. And I think they said something about, at some point they said something about having upped the quota a couple of times throughout the time. So I think they thought that was enough. Or that they hoped it was enough, or I don't know. I mean, humans are a bit silly about stuff like that, aren't they? We tend to just be like, it's fine, we're recycling.
Yeah.
Look
at our world right now.
Yeah.
We're like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Nothing's going to happen in our lifetime. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I do my recycling.
I buy, unleaded petrol or whatever. So
I bought a Tesla.
I fixed it. I bought a Tesla.
Exactly.
I think God was a really interesting look into what killing people for a living can do to a person. Definitely. That was something else that I thought was a really interesting little conversation that he was having about, like, because the whole thing about the sides was supposed to not really want to be sides, and so we're supposed to feel remorse and compassion. And obviously the new guard were sides that were like, no, this is our job. We should at least somewhat enjoy it. Let's let's stab. yeah, like what you said, like what does it do to people to be in that job? But also, like clearly some of them started out wanting to do it. Like how do you weed that out? How do you figure out, like, well, these people would have been serial killers back in the day, so we better not make them sides because then they'll enjoy it too much? Or do you actually say, well, you know what, these people like would it have been better potentially keep the quota and keep all of the rules, but like seek out people who actually were sociopaths, who actually wanted to kill, because maybe that would have, like, the Thunderhead kept doing stuff for the unsavories to secretly make it so that they could be fulfilled. Like, you know, if you can get Dexter on board to, like, state-sponsored serial killer, like, why not?
Yeah, no, I was like, with a lot of the new, what they call them, the new era,
New guard.
or whatever, new guard.
Yeah.
The new guard ones, I was just like, how did these people get through the, like, you know, when they've got to do the sit at the panel? I was like, how did that happen? Like, because even in our days, like, to become a teacher or a police officer or to get into the any armed forces, you have to take like personality tests and interviews and all of these things to make sure that you're not psychotic when you're working like in these jobs. They should have had to do that too.
Yeah, exactly. And like the people apprenticing them, how did they not notice? Like, surely part of your role as a supervisor of someone in training is to, like, make sure that they understand their job and see how they take to it and be able to say at the end of probation or whatever, or training or whatever, like, maybe this isn't for you. Like, maybe
you're a little bit psycho. Maybe go work in a factory.
Or even just like I've heard teachers in actual teachers who are training kind of have conversations with people and sort of just say, like, you know, this is a really hard job. Like, not you shouldn't be a teacher, but like, have you really thought about this kind of thing? Like,
do you understand how hard this really is?
Yeah, like, do you really want to do this? Like, this is But yeah, it was kind of weird that they didn't pick it up. Kind of makes you wonder, like, how far back did it go? Like, maybe actually, because they did say that, didn't they? There were two sides of the founders that had a different idea of what they should be doing. It's like, maybe the rot went further back the tree than they knew, and Goddard was just the kind of most obvious example of it, or something, or the worst example of it, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought he was above them all. He was awful. It's one of those things, we say that some jobs can't have bad apples, right? But how do you weed out corruption entirely? Yes. I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing as well, like you were saying, like, it's not just the work that they were doing, it's also the power structures that they had. Like, first of all, you are literally life and death. But then also the power within the system and all the internal bureaucracy and politics is going to mess with your head anyway. So it's kind of like, what do you do about that? Yeah, was murder a thing since no one can die? Would they even consider serial killer? Well, that's the thing. I got the impression that it was like a good 200 or something years since the mortal age. So they had a totally different view of stuff like that. So, because they did kind of, I think they talked a little, I think someone mentioned serial killers at some point, but they were all kind of like, what do you mean? What is that? What do you mean? Yeah.
And like, for serial killers, like, people wouldn't actually die, they'd just be deadish. So that wouldn't be the same like rush, or the neurons in their heads wouldn't connect to that satisfying thing they get after a kill. So it would have done that. But also then, if they were so unsavory that they couldn't be like rehabilitated to be part of society, then they just got supplanted.
Yeah, then And they had the nanites that were
and the nanites.
Yeah, messing around with their emotions and whatever. So
how nice would that be?
Yeah, but I mean that's the other thing as well. They I think they touched on this a little bit in the book as well. Like, would it have been? Because on the one hand, I was doing the same thing when I was reading. On the one hand, I was kind of like, oh yeah, it'd be nice sometimes to not like constantly be anxious or whatever. But sometimes it's like, yeah, but at the same time,
that's helpful.
Like if it's flatlined, like I'd rather have the anxiety if it also means that I get to have the excitement.
That's true.
Yeah. I think so much of the story is extremely transferable to real world issues. Yes. Yes. Scarily so. Definitely. What is James doing, Lana?
I don't know. What are you doing, Bibby? He's just like, what?
He's just walking backwards and forwards. I was just curious because I'm curious.
Yeah, I think first he was trying to get baby down, and then I think he was just trying to get snacks and drinks and stuff ready to sit down and play.
Fair enough. Maybe it's murder if it's unsanctioned. Yeah, but like you said, like how do you know what it is? Because like Citra did push someone in front of a truck, but like no one knew somehow. I guess if you were really obvious about it. But yeah, that's the other thing as well. The sides were sanctioned, so it wasn't murder. I think over time they lost the knowledge of murder, death, etc., since death is not common anymore. Yeah. They actually seem to lose a lot of, I can't remember what it was, but there was some saying that we have that's really common, but they were like, what? That makes no sense. But I remember finding it really funny in the book, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember what it was either. And they didn't say things properly, like sayings that we say all the time.
Yeah.
They mixed them up or yeah. I was just like, ha. Yeah. Suppose that wouldn't make sense in a post-mortal world.
Yeah. It's such an odd concept to think of, like even just the way they were like post-mortal. I kept feeling like I was watching Buffy or something, and the way I kept, well, not really, but the way they kept talking about mortals and like, immortals. I'm like, am I reading a vampire book? Like what? They mentioned not knowing what murder is. Maybe it was a misdemeanor. Yeah, I think they just, like Lola said, I think they just didn't have a concept because it was never long lasting. And like you said as well, Lana, if you were constantly doing something like that, then you would be supplanted in the end. So, yeah. Lola, yeah, I haven't read it in years, so I'm surprised how much I remember, to be honest.
That's how you know a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is what I borrowed it off a friend of mine, so I'm going to have to buy them, I think, because I think this is some we're going back to. Yeah. If I was teaching grade 6 this year, I think it would be in my classroom, but I'm not, so I won't. But I think if I were, I would be like, this might be a classroom series. So we were talking about TV shows before. So, and we've done this with every single one now. Do we have new characters that we think would play, or different new people that we think would play the same characters, or new characters that could be, who would play Jericho in your movie, Lana?
I don't know, because in my head, even though Jericho just looked like a one type of person, in my head, as the weather changed, so did like their features. Even though that's not what happened, but that's what happened in my book. And I can't even think of someone that I would cast as Jericho. I don't know.
Me neither. I don't know who would play Jericho. Yes, just the phrase post-mortem was, really mind-boggling to me, like trying to wrap my head around it. Yeah. I was the same, actually. Yeah, like I said, every time I read it, I was like, what? kept having to, even though I knew the whole premise, I kind of kept having to remind myself that like they are immortal, like they
they don't die.
They don't die. Like it's just such an odd, and the idea that for them just dying of natural causes or from splatting or like an accident, actually being dead from that was weird to them. Is weird to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Does anyone else have any Jericho actors or
who did we have for Grayson?
Oh, I can't remember. Does anyone remember who we had for Grayson? And Loriana, is that her name? Loriana, who would play Loriana?
And I don't know how to say her name.
Munira?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yes, completely foreign concept. Completely foreign concept. And it was funny to me, like they talked about how death was so present and the fact of our mortality was so present in all of our artworks and whatever, and how we are afraid of death. But I felt like they were the ones that were afraid of death more than mortal age, because to us it's like, yeah, like it's not a pleasant thought, but it's coming. Whereas they just seemed like they didn't think about it. I guess it wasn't in the back of their head as until it was there. But then they were like, just the way, if they saw a scythe, even if the scythe had nothing to do with them, even if the scythe was like, down the street walking in the opposite direction, they'd like run away. There's such a, I mean, I guess, murderers don't wear robes that clearly distinguish them as murderers these days. But it just struck me as really like they kept talking about, oh, these mortal age people are so afraid of death. And I was kind of like, I don't feel like that's true. I think you're the ones that are afraid of death because it's such a foreign concept to you. Yeah. Yes. So, yes. No one seems to have come up with any castings yet. Yes, the Abyss. I can't say that word. I'm sorry. I never can say that word. Obsequious way they treated Scythe was so weird to me. Yeah, same. And just even that. Sorry.
There you go.
I just even like I feel like, there are people these days that people treat with a lot of that word that I can't say, but not to that extent. Like it was almost fear. Like a scythe walks into your house and just doesn't even have to say anything, just can stand there and it's dinner time and you just automatically give them food, or like a scythe just takes over your house, and even if you don't like it, like Goddard just kicking those people out of the house or like making them servants. It's like they had no recourse. That's just what happened. Just so bizarre.
Yeah, no. I think I have this is just like a quick search.
Okay.
But for Jericho, just because of like the fluidity, etc., I'm thinking Bella Schmurder.
I don't think I know who that is. All right, I'm gonna have to Google. I will have to Google it.
Schmurder is Shmurda.
Sorry, I haven't even got Google up yet. Hang on. Bella. Oh, for goodness sake, Mel. Bella Schmurda.
Shmurda.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. Cool.
I feel like that person could do like the fluid quite well.
Yep. I definitely can see that. Cool. That's cool.
And I do believe I don't think.
I don't know if we can.
The Madagascan.
Oh, actually, that's not true. I can probably share my screen. Give me a moment. good photo of them. I mean, a good, like, where their features are clear.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, I just saw Amy's comment. 100%.
Okay, sorry, I'm still hunting for... Okay, I will come back now. I just reminded myself who Jerry is, and I think Kanan Lonsdale would be a good actor for them. Okay, another person that I don't know who they are. You guys are making me feel old now. All right, I'm just going to pop my other tab open. So this is Bella Schmurner, or Schmurder. And then Keenan
Lonsdale.
Keenan Lonsdale. Okay. Yep. I can definitely see that.
What's Keenan in? There's like a few things, but
I don't know. Let's go to IMDb. Oh, really? Oh, wow, cool.
Australian.
What? Known for The Flash, Love, Simon, in Insurgent. Finest Hours. There you go. Cool. So that's for Jerry. That's cool. Yep, definitely. He played Bram in Love, Simon, Mel. I haven't seen Love, Simon. Or read Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. Is that even the name of it? He's been in a couple of other things, but I've only seen him in Love, Simon. Yeah, I think
he's in the Flash TV series. He plays oh my god, what's her name? The main chick. Oh, he plays like Walter Jr.
Okay.
He comes in like later seasons. The main chick's little brother.
Excuse me. He did look familiar. Divergent. Yep, he would be good. Yep. Agreed. I tell a lie. I've seen him in Insurgent. He plays Uriah. I don't remember Insurgent well enough to know that, but he does look vaguely familiar. And when I saw Insurgent, I was like, oh yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The only characters I know are the main ones.
Tristan, whatever his name is.
Tristan 4.
That's right.
Whatever his actual name is, Tobias. Yep, he was the Flash too. It's all coming back to me now. Oh, well, I'm glad that we figured out who would be. I mean, because they're going to ask us for our casting suggestions.
Yeah. Who did we have for?
I don't remember.
Who do we have for Grayson?
I don't remember. I should have been writing this down. Terrible. So how's everyone feeling about this book, this conversation, this live show? I am feeling like we might have had our conversation. But does anyone else have anything they want to add? Any thoughts? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not.
Any shock moments?
Any shock moments. I know none of us were super into the romance with Citra and Rowan. How did we find their ending? I personally was like,
list.
Yeah, same. We've just been told to check Twitter. So I'm just going to check Twitter.
Which are we checking?
Oh, yep. I think it's just to me. So the lovely, lovely Paige has her special edition of the Toll from Our Crate, which she does not want to keep. So she's offering it to anyone that might want it. I think we were potentially going to run like a giveaway, but because we're chaotic and also disorganized, we did not do that. I feel like I am like really disorganized in this book club, but like I organized this whole reader. I don't know what's going on. Well, you're the
and just
same,
in your
Hannah,
general
like,
life, you're super organized. I'm better at organizing other people, and then like I'm a mess. Like my kids are like all good, but anything like, and like I used to plan big itineraries for people as a living, but when it just comes to me, I'm like, good is good enough.
So sorry about the total lack of organizing like some kind of competition giveaway thing, but Paige is offering if anyone would like her lovely copy of the Toll. So it's a hardcover. I don't actually think that it's super different. I know Our Crate do like their special editions are usually supposed to be different from the original. I don't think it is super different, which is I think part of the reason why Paige wasn't as into it as she wanted to be. But yeah, so if anyone wants to have it, Paige is offering it. So I think I've got everyone now on Twitter. So send me a DM on Twitter and let me know, and I'll organize with Paige for that. Otherwise, I think she's going to put it in to a charity shop. So it should go to one of us because we are awesome, is what she was thinking. So yes, thank you so much, Paige. That's amazing. And
Page.
Send me, or you know what? You could even send Paige a message. But no, send me a message and I'll organize that all with her. And then Lola has this very interesting suggestion. Speaking of supernatural, the father could be Goddard. Actually, that would be quite cool. I would quite like that. Interesting. Actually, you know who I think would make a really good Goddard? Benedict Cumberbatch. I know he's usually a good guy, but
I saw him as Constantine. I feel like he's more Constantine.
Okay, yep.
Kind of tall, sharp-featured.
Yep, I could see that. Yep.
Human.
Yep. I just think that he's just think he's a really good actor, so I think he'd pull off Goddard really well. But also, like they often like to make.
He could pull off anything.
Yeah. I think also because they often like. I mean, they probably wouldn't do it in this if they did an adaptation of these books, but they often like to make bad guys like British. So.
It's true. English people just play villains really well because they're also classy.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like classy villains.
Totally, they really do. I actually was totally okay with the romance. I'm glad that he kept it fairly background. Yeah,
especially
I agree.
for a YA. Like usually YA, that's like
front and
first
center.
And foremost, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I liked that it wasn't.
Yeah, I agree. I liked that it was in the background, but I felt like it was just unnecessary in general. Like I didn't feel like they had a particular romantic connection. So I was kind of just a bit like, I don't really care that it's there, but at the same time, I really don't care that it's there. Like,
yeah,
I'm not particularly bothered by it, but I really wouldn't have missed anything if they had not done that at all.
No.
I'm just disorganized all the way. I'm glad it's not just me.
Have you seen my channel?
And for this book series, just ran out of steam, not you, Mel. Phew. Thanks, lovely. Yes, happy to receive messages if need be. Jeffrey Dean Morgan has hurt me enough. Who is okay? Now I'm confused. Is that
Is that the dad?
the dad?
I don't know his
Jeffrey
name.
Dean Morgan.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Now I have to remember that I've shared my screen with you guys so that I don't go randomly hunting for some other thing and you're all like, what the hell? I don't want to see someone classically handsome as Goddard.
Yeah, let's just have him all around ugly or like average looking.
I do not need him as Goddard. Mel! I don't even know what I'm being melled at.
I think was that when you said
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just because he's so good, I think he can pull off a bad guy and like be really believable. But everyone's like, no, just
there are two really good suggestions coming up.
Okay.
Like some smarmy dude.
Smarmy dude. Chris Pine, yes.
I can see that.
Absolutely. Richard Madden. Oh yes. Oh my god, yes, he would be awesome. Hi Ashley. Good evening.
Hi Ashley.
The romance was kind of sweet, young love. No. I have not recovered from Jeffrey Dean as Danny in Grey's Anatomy. It was 2006 and I'm still not okay.
I was traumatized when I saw him as like the bad guy in oh my god. The zombie one, what's it called? Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he's the bad guy? What? No. I think that's actually the first time I stopped watching it because I was like, I can't handle that.
That's not okay. I'm not okay with this. Especially after seeing Richard Madden in Bodyguard, he was badass. I haven't seen Bodyguard.
I haven't.
But I'll take your word for it. Yeah, so do I. Walking Dead, yeah. He plays a few baddies. See, I like an actor that can play a baddie well as a goodie. And does it really well. Yep.
He's got that like rugged, like manly, I've lived life kind of look about him. So he can be either. And he does them both really well.
Yep. I agree.
Casting books is my favorite thing ever. Like hearing others is just so fun.
Do you see
yes, Paige.
I swear, Paige, I had never come across anyone saying that until I came across you saying it. And you keep saying, no, it's the thing. People say it all the time. I'm like, I've never heard of it before. See, God gives me the smarmy, clean-cut vibe, like Superman, curl and all, charm offensive. Yeah, definitely. So do you read?
Chris Pine could definitely do.
Yeah, Chris Pine could definitely do that. Do you read and like see actors? I think we had this conversation last time, and like see actors in those roles.
Sometimes, but usually it's after I've read the first book.
Right.
So like I have like a vague sort of like outline, and then I like sit down and think about it, and then that's why I love things like this, because I'm like, who would this be to you? And then some people just like nail it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's my person now.
Yeah.
And then the movie just plays out with like all of these top of the line A-class actors that would no budget would be able to afford them all in one movie.
I don't visualize actors until someone starts talking about it. Yes, Lola. Oh, I think I missed quite a bit. Sorry. Mila Jovovich could be a fantastic psych. Oh my God, she would.
I had the biggest crush on her when I was in, I don't know, since the Fifth Element.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't even at high school then. She was like my first like female crush ever, and I like told my mum. She's like, "What?"
Excuse me?
Yeah. I was like, see, me as an adult can't surprise you at all when I come out with that stuff when I was a kid.
Thanks, baby Lana.
Yeah.
I do sometimes. I have trouble picturing people, but sometimes it's easy. I don't visualize actors when someone starts talking about it.
I find it easier to do the, like, as I'm reading, I find it easier to visual everything outside of the people.
Yeah.
That's why I sit down and I'm like, okay, so how do these people actually look? Because I get to the end of the book and I'm like, I don't know what these people actually look like. So I like Google, like look at all the fan art and that sort of thing. Like, okay, this is what they look like. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put a face to that name.
Yeah. I don't really see people. Like, I kind of have it's not even like it's a blurred image. I kind of have a vague idea in my head as I'm reading of what things, like the shape of things, but not, I wouldn't say like I read about a person and I see, Chris Pine in my head or anything like that. I don't see faces when reading, says Lola. I think I just thought of it because God just gave me this oily feeling. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. Sometimes I Google people with the characters' physical characteristics. Sorry, excuse me. With the characters' physical characteristics if I'm having trouble. That makes sense. Definitely. I read Six of Crows after watching the show, so I had faces to name. So loved the actor for Kaz Brekker.
Yes. I thought they did such a good job for Kaz Brekker.
Yes, definitely. I do find that sort of thing tricky because sometimes, not so much going that way. If I've watched a show or a movie and then read the book, I'm usually fine with it. But something like The Lord of the Rings, for example, where I'm just so completely like I know it back to front. It's and everyone, you've got your own idea like of what it's going to be like. That's the kind of thing where it's a real fine line with me. Lord of the Rings actually did really well with the casting. Some of the decisions, but we're not having a conversation about Lord of the Rings. We're having a conversation about the top.
I hear you. There are a couple of times where I'm just like, if people hadn't read the books, they wouldn't know what the heck that was.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's random. Anyway, next scene.
Or like things where you're like that you've totally missed the entire point of why in the book they did this. If this is anyway, we're not talking about Lord of the Rings. I thought they did a great job for the Six of Crows characters.
I was a bit like, about Jasper when it first came out. I was just like, that's not how I saw him in my head. But the more that I watched the show, I was just like, yes, okay, I love him.
Again, I
love him and the goat.
Oh my God. I love that whole thing.
Milo.
Who's Milo? The goat! It's like how mad he got every time that they forgot who the goat was.
Yeah. I'm glad they have the show of like Shadow and Bone because I'm never going to read it. But it was just too teeny bopper for me. But I love Six Crows.
It's on the list of books I have to read at some point. I'll get to it.
I haven't read Crooked Kingdom. I'm like scared.
Like, no,
because it's going to ruin me and then it'll be over and I just don't want it to be.
Amy will riot if they goof the cast of ACOTAR. I haven't even seen.
Are they doing ACOTAR?
Yeah, apparently is it Hulu or Amazon? I can't remember. But yeah, apparently someone is.
Okay, I need to read that series.
Sometimes I'm a bit like, can't we just leave books as books? Sometimes I'm really excited about it, and sometimes I'm like, really? Couldn't I just have that as my book that I like?
That's what I do like about like adult fantasy and like grimdark, because they're never going to make movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Grimdark is like for most people, it's horrible.
Too
no
much.
one wants to read that. It's just way too dark. But
yeah, people like their fantasy to be lovely and sunshine. Yeah. I mean, not that I won't watch ACOTAR and hope it's good, because I love
I will
the
be
Agatha
trashed for it.
series.
I already know I will.
Sometimes I'm a bit like, but I just wanted that to be my thing that I liked. I don't know if you guys seen, there's a YouTube video. I can't for the life remember who it did it, but it's this people singing a song, and it's about a Game of Thrones, sort of, but it's talking about like I read the book and the book was better. I read the book. The book is carrying on and on about how I read the book and the book was better. So funny. And he turns around to someone and like, it's Joffrey, not Jeffrey. Anyway. So funny. Sorry. In groups I'm in, even is like Ian Somerhalder for Reese, and I'm like, no. Hang on, let me reread that. Sorry, I just realized I didn't read that properly. In groups I'm in, everyone is like Ian Somerhalder for Reese, and I'm like, no.
I don't know that. I haven't read it yet, so I can't say.
Yeah, I can see why they'd go for him, but I agree. I don't think he's right. But I can
maybe
see
just
why.
leave him in one YA book. Like,
yeah,
just
leave it.
And also, he's getting old now.
He's
that's getting
true.
older.
That's true. Although the ACOTAR books are a bit older than the Vampire Diaries were. Like, they read older. Yeah. I mean, I think they're supposed to be new adult as opposed to young adult. So they're still, I think she's still like 19 or something.
Is ACOTAR the fairy porn one, or is that Throne of Glass?
No,
I clearly haven't read either.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it'd be nice to see original stories. Yeah, that too as well. Yeah. As soon as I finished the 6 of Crow series, I had to read King of Scars. It flows straight into the Netflix series. There you go, Lana.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
I love Ian Somerhalder, but I don't see him as Reese. No, I don't see him as Reese either.
Sure, I could do that.
Ian Somerhalder is like the least attractive human in the world to me. No exaggeration. I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you for your honesty, Amy. We appreciate it.
I want Regine Page as Reese. I don't know who that is either. Now I have to go hunt. This is just.
He's and Bridgerton.
Oh, I just started watching that the other day.
I am also trash for that, and I cried like a ridiculous amount. Like, I don't know why, but I like cried so much watching that show.
Oh yes,
I binged it in like 3 days. I think.
Oh my god, yes, he would be an amazing Reese. Yes, 100. Yes, Reese is 100 just years. Yes, see, and unlike so many like teenage vampire movies where you're like, this vampire like stopped. Became a vampire when they were 17, but then they also lived for 200 years, so there's a definite like he should be more mature than this, even though he's supposed to have like did he really have arrested development just because he died? But with Rosand, you get the feeling of like he's lived a life,
so he's jaded as fuck.
Yeah Definitely. Yes. I gotta go to bed, but good night, lovelies. Good night. Have a good day. I try. He's the Duke in Bridgerton.
He is a sexy man.
Sounded to me to have a mature look. Yes, I agree. Definitely. Yes, and I... as soon as as soon as Lana said he was in Bridgerton, I was like, I think I know who that is. But like I said, I watched the first episode of Bridgerton the other day. I tend to be a bit late to the party. I did actually, yeah. It was really fun.
So I've like just recently read my very first classic ever, thanks to my roll of reads.
You're welcome.
When I was doing it, I like rolled it and then turned it over. I was like, shit. But the whole time that I was reading, I just saw like Bridgerton in my head because that's all I had to compare it with, because I don't even watch anything of that era. Bridgerton was all I had to go on, so I was like, that's where my head was.
What book did you read again?
Pride and Prejudice.
Except,
Colin Firth was Mr. Darcy.
With Darcy, of course, because Colin Firth is Mr. Darcy. He just is. He will never be anything else.
There's no one else.
Did you like it?
I did actually go 4 stars. The first the first couple of pages, I was just like, ugh, I hate her. Are you kidding me? Shut this woman up. Why won't she shut up? But then I was like, Mr. Bennet is awesome. I love Mr. Bennet. Like, he was like my favorite character because it was actually, I wasn't expecting it to be so witty and sarcastic.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
And everything else was just.
And then you like, after a little while, you realize, wait, hang on. I meant to find this woman annoying, and she's actually meant to be ridiculous. It's okay.
Over the top. Because at first I was like, how do people read this? She's so tedious. But the more I got on like reading, I was like, this is funny.
Oh, I'm so glad. I mean, I was bracing myself. I was like, it's okay, Lana's allowed not to like things. But I'm so glad that you liked it. Yay. Sorry. Where are we? He's always sounded to me to have a mature look. Yes, I agree. Reese ages, he's in the prime of his life though. They just age slower. See, I'm okay with that. It's just like when they are supposed to have become a vampire at 17, but then they're supposed to have lived as a vampire for 200 years, and they're still behaving like they would have done at 17. Yeah, that's when I'm a bit like, come on. Like, I'm okay if they had a
communication trope. Like, if you were around for 200 years, you would be like,
surely
very direct to the point. This is what I'm trying to say. Do you understand? How would you like me to explain it better to you?
What can I do to help you to understand me?
Yeah, you're a 16-year-old and so annoying. Like, I am not attracted to you in the least.
It's like, why do they always end up?
I'm only just like double. Wait, am I double 16? No, I'm a little bit more than double 16. But even I can't stand 16-year-olds. Like, how do you live for 200 years?
And keep going back to 16-year-old girls. Like, oh my God.
She's different. She's the one.
No, she's not different. She's the same. You're just an idiot. Anyway, apparently you should not read the books for Bridgerton.
I agree.
Or I should not. Or none of us should. Yes, I figured that's what you meant. You were like Emma as well.
Ooh, I might give it a go. It was very like, the only thing that I didn't like was the like society as a whole, because they were just very like the most annoying thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like once I took myself out of the picture, and I was like, let's just not put myself in this book at all, because I do that always. I'm like, what would I do? But there was just no way in that book that I could put myself anywhere, because I just did not exist in that society. So I was like, let's just enjoy, just grab some popcorn and enjoy the show. And
Why not? Why not? I totally agree, Mel. I just wanted to provide context for Lana. Fair enough. Yes. Yep. So Lana has popcorn, which is very exciting. And I'm probably going to... No, I'm not going to go make popcorn. But if I mention it to Rowan, he might make popcorn. Because he loves popcorn. But we have wandered quite far off of the toll. So I think that...
I'm not mad about it.
No, I'm not mad about it either. But I'm just mentioning it because I'm starting to feel a bit like it might be sleepy time for Mel, even though it's only 20 past 10, but still. So yes, because we have exhausted toll, is everyone okay with finishing up and going away? This month's book is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas.
Still waiting for my copy to come in at the library.
I just borrowed it on the Overdrive. Yay.
Can you get it on there?
Very excited.
I looked and it didn't. Maybe because I went through the library thing. If I just go through,
I don't know.
Normal.
I don't know.
I'll sort it out.
Sweetheart, you feel like popcorn? Yeah, totally. Except that he's
I'll
playing
just be like,
D&D.
do you hear that? Like, what? Is there popcorn popping? No, there should be.
Why is there not?
Yeah, but why?
Chop, chop, chop. Yes, impromptu reading sprint. We're done with the book, reading some book.
Oh my gosh, Lola, you would have loved today. Me and Tracy sprinted from 10 a.m. till 5 with Fish. And
That's
Christine
amazing.
from Christine and is it the Reader's Digest or something like that? Is that what their thing's called? Christine and Monique. She came, popped in and said hello too. It was cool. I was just like,
cool.
Fish, you're friends with famous people.
I don't know if I know who they are.
If you open Book Talk at all, you will know who they are.
Oh, okay.
Or Instagram. They're just famous.
Just famous. Fair enough. I'll have a look at some point. I have never gotten onto TikTok, but I will at some point. Especially because I told everyone that. Well, especially because I told everyone that they were allowed to put their TBRs on TikTok for my readathon. I'm going to have to watch them. Exactly. Maybe I'll go read all this. I should have a look at Kindle, or maybe I'll go read all the Scythe books. Also a valid choice.
I think it's because it was for the Patreons.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Sorry, for a minute there I thought you meant this. I'm like, but you're here now. What? Oh.
You've been here from the go, girl.
I need to check out Book Talk. I spent all my time on Queer Talk and Witch Talk.
Oh my god, I get lost down so many holes on both Queer Talk and Witch Talk.
So this is why I have not gone on to TikTok, because I'm like, I lose myself down YouTube rabbit holes enough. Do I need another rabbit hole?
Well, if you have 6 hours to kill and just blink and 6 hours has been, then definitely go on.
Fair enough. All right, guys, I am going to not do what Lola suggested because I'm very rude. And I'm going to go and, be elsewhere. But thank you all so much for joining us. So, yes, this month's book is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. I did suggest on the Discord that we do from the 23rd to the 28th if we want to do our buddy reading, concurrent reading. I think I said it's sent again 4 chapters a day. So if everyone wants to join me, I'll be doing that. I don't know what Lana and Ellie are doing, but yeah, potentially us as well. But yeah, otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you.